Ashes of the Last Dragon. Chapter 8. A Lingering Silence. Cole stood in the center of his dimly lit home, hardly aware that he was breathing. Every corner of the small room felt suffocatingly still, as though the air itself held its breath in the aftermath of Lily's final moments. His ears rang with the memory of her last rattling exhale, and though that sound had gone away, its echo refused to leave him. The silence weighed on him more than any shouted accusation or heartbreak ever could. His survey of the sparse furnishings was unsteady. The hearth that once glowed bright with a crackling fire now smoldered with only a few dull embers. The battered wooden table, where Lily had sat countless times to eat their meager meals, bore a single pewter cup turned on its side. A ragged curtain hung limply by the bed, the very spot where she'd slipped away. He felt as though he should rush to her side and comfort her, but there was no one left to console. Lily was gone, her spirit somehow drawn into the urn, leaving only an empty echo in her place. A tremor seized his body, and he forced himself to walk slowly around the small house, revisiting each corner in a daze. Every step seemed to churn up memories that tangled him in grief. He saw Lily's laughter in the well-worn scrape marks on the floor from when they'd played indoor tag on rainy days. He saw Ms. Rosley's kindness in the neatly folded blankets she had once stacked in the corner, a gesture of warmth and compassion for a family not her own. He recalled his father's lessons at the forge, images of sparks flying in rhythmic arcs, of molten metal that glowed like miniature suns before it was hammered into shape. A pang cut through him at the thought of his mother, but he shoved it aside. He couldn't bear to remember her face right now, not when the house was already thick with sorrow. Dwelling on her absence would only drown him further in grief, a chain of anguish he felt too powerless to face. He blinked, fighting the rising swirl of bitterness and regret. His attention caught on the hammer lying against the wall, his father's hammer. It was a sturdy tool with a handle of polished oak, burnished dark by years of sweat and soot. The head bore faint scars from countless strikes in the forge, each dent a testament to labor and care that his father had once taken such pride in. Despite its weight, the hammer felt comfortable in Cole's hands, as though molded over time to fit his grip. He'd brought it everywhere since his father died, but only now did he truly sense how it might be his sole companion. He ran a thumb along the handle's smoothed edges, recalling the day his father had shown him how to properly swing it. Keep his wrist straight, feel the momentum. He remembered the broad grin that split his father's face when Cole managed to land a perfect strike. That grin had been genuine pride. Now, cradling the hammer, Cole felt an ache twist through his chest. A house once filled with voices had shrunk into a single heartbeat, his own. He set the hammer beside the door, swallowing back tears. He had to prepare himself. The dragon's voice still lurked in the back of his mind, its presence neither comforting nor entirely menacing. It was simply there, a reality he couldn't escape any more than he could escape the fact that Lily was gone. Night rolled over Farewell, and with it came the suffocating darkness of a place already steeped in fear. Cole stepped outside, unsure what he expected. The moon was veiled by thick clouds, and no lamplight flickered along the street. Yet something felt off. He could see, not dim outlines or vague shapes, but details. The houses looked washed in shades of black and deep, swirling blues, as though the darkness itself cast a soft luminescence. He blinked hard, thinking his eyes must be playing tricks. Still, the muddy roadway stretched before him in startling clarity, each stone and puddle visible where there should have been only shadows. The stables across the way were painted in varying degrees of charcoal, and the barrels stacked beside them glimmered faintly with an inky sheen. His breath caught in his throat at the realization. He was seeing in the pitch of night just as plainly as he might at noon, but the colors were all wrong, replaced by a tapestry of black and blue.
Dark vision,
The dragon's voice murmured into his mind, Its tones vibrated with a subdued power that made Cole feel strangely electric.
You can perceive the absence of light, see it as a landscape of deep color. This is just one facet of your dark flame.
Cole's heart hammered.
How is this possible?
He asked aloud, though he wasn't certain if he expected an answer.
There is more to explain,
The dragon replied, each syllable echoing with a distant rumble.
but you are exhausted. Your grief clouds your thoughts. Rest eventually, and you will grasp the full extent of what has awakened. For now, take what you need from this place. You cannot stay here.
Cole looked back at the weathered doorway of his home. He could still make out the shape of his father's blacksmith crest, hanging crookedly above the threshold. This house was all he had known, a fragile sanctuary in a world gone mad with plague. But that sanctuary was empty now, haunted by ghosts he could not lay to rest. He closed his eyes, fighting against the swell of sorrow.
I won't come back.
He whispered to no one and to everyone. Father, Lily, perhaps Ms. Rosley. The notion of leaving it all behind felt like cutting away the last tether of his old life. Still, the dragon's words in his head echoed with an undeniable clarity. Lily's spirit was bound to the urn. If he wanted answers or any hope of saving what remained of her, he had to leave. A slow, trembling exhale escaped him. He glanced around the stillness of Farewell in these unsettling dark blue tones, the ghost-like outlines of houses and silent windows. A pang of guilt gnawed at him. He'd been awake and on the move for too many hours, consumed by the urgency of finding Lily's cure, only to fail her in the end. Now, he needed rest so he could understand what was happening. But the idea of lying down in this silent tomb of a house chilled him. Pressing his lips together, Cole turned back inside, stepping carefully over the threshold, as though crossing from one reality into another. The difference in lighting disoriented him. The moment he entered the house, he saw its interior cloaked in natural shadow, his strange vision only accentuating the faint candle glow that had burned low beside Lily's empty bed. He set the hammer down near the door and let his eyes linger on the urn.
I can't stay.
He murmured, voice catching.
Not with Lily. Not like this.
The sorrow in his chest twisted again at the thought of her final moments, but exhaustion weighed on him too heavily for tears. He trudged toward the edge of the bed. This was the same coarse mattress Lily had gasped and coughed on during her last hours of life. The blanket was still there, a silent testimony to how he had lost her. But there was nowhere else to go, and the dragon's voice, distant now, echoed a single command: rest. With a trembling sigh, Cole sat down. His limbs shook from weariness, from grief, and from the shock of the new power coursing beneath his skin. It felt wrong, too big for him, too alien. He curled onto his side, drawing the blanket up around his shoulders. The pillow was still damp with sorrow and smelled vaguely of bitter herbs. His father's hammer sat close by, within easy reach. Even now, its presence reminded him of the forge's warmth, of a steadiness he sorely needed. The silence wrapped him like a suffocating blanket. No one called his name, no one offered comfort. Only that faint candle glow remained, flickering weakly against the walls. His eyes threatened to close, but his mind struggled against oblivion, looping thoughts of Lily's laughter, Ms. Rosley's gentle reassurance, his father's solid guidance. He refused to think about his mother. That door led to a darker pain he couldn't withstand right now. At last, weariness claimed him. His muscles unwound fractionally, and he felt the tense ache in his chest loosen just enough for him to breathe a little deeper. Sleep teased the edges of his consciousness, offering a brief respite from the sorrow and the new uncertainties. He forced out one final whispered promise to no one in particular, perhaps Lily or the father he still longed to please.
I'll leave before dawn. I swear I won't waste what little time I have left.
And with that, the last of his strength ebbed. The hush inside the house remained unbroken, No voice but his own breath in the darkness, and not even the dragon spoke anymore. Cole drifted off, unable to shake the feeling that the world had shifted profoundly around him. But for now, in the depths of exhaustion, he could only wait for sleep to momentarily shield him from the crushing weight of sorrow.